Somebody asked us the question, what would happen if Shin Godzilla was in the Monsterverse? We already did a video talking about them fighting each other and what the likely outcome would have been, so you guys can go check this out. This is more so if Shin Godzilla showed up at the end of King of the Monsters. There will be spoilers for King of the Monsters in this video as well, and at the time this video was released, King of the Monsters is still pretty fresh on everyone's breath. I know that makes no sense, but you get what I'm trying to say. So if you don't want to get spoilers for that movie, if you've not seen it yet, then stay clear of this video. So moving forward, at the end of King of the Monsters, Godzilla is established as the king, which is really good for Godzilla, really good for all the other kaiju. But if Shin entered into the mix, it probably wouldn't be so good for him. And here's why. Godzilla would immediately see him as a threat. Why? Because Shin Godzilla is a lot more primitive than our Godzilla and a lot of the other kaiju that we know of, and probably would not even recognize Godzilla as the alpha. At least the Mutos had someone that they followed. They had a Muto Prime, an alpha, a queen, so to speak. But Shin Godzilla followed no one. He was more of an aberration, a very sickly looking animal. This creature seems to lack the ability to even recognize what an alpha would be. He's like a shark. There would most likely be a showdown, as is shown in this picture by Jay-Z Skipped Leg Day, which was a collaboration between him and Sentinel Prime 99. Go ahead and check out their DeviantArts. It's included in the link in the description. Very, very wonderful piece of art with their collaboration. But in this picture, you can also see that Godzilla is trying to dominate Shin, and Shin is just spaced out. He doesn't know what the frick is going on. All he knows is that if something comes at him and is an immediate threat, he's going to annihilate the threat. The alpha rules and the hierarchy that applies to the other kaiju, I don't believe that this applies to Shin. Since he wouldn't be subdued so easily, and Godzilla's the alpha, and the other kaiju are roaming, they probably would come in to help him. Godzilla would try to bring down Shin Godzilla on his own, but if he proves to be too hardy or too recalcitrant, then the other kaiju may step in. With how powerful and destructive Shin Godzilla is, I'm pretty sure that he would annihilate creatures like the Muto, possibly the Behemoth, and a lot of other kaiju. Out of all of the kaiju that we've seen at the end of the movie, Godzilla is probably the most powerful. He probably couldn't take them all at once, but he is very powerful as an opponent, and thick, and very mighty, and he's Herculean. It's very hard to kill Godzilla. Granted, it's very hard to kill Shin as well, but Godzilla would not leave something like Shin walking around, something that cannot be controlled nor subdued. One thing's for sure is that this creature does not act like he's a kaiju with sentience. He acts like something that is just operating off its basal instincts. Something like that is way too dangerous to have roaming around destructively and undoing all of what the kaiju do. Now here's the big question. Why wouldn't Godzilla want him to walk around? Sure, maybe he wouldn't exactly subdue to Godzilla, not because he doesn't want to, it's just because that's just not how he operates. That's not how his brain works. But if the kaiju roaming the cities and everywhere, free, is good for nature, then why not Shin? I think the main issue here is that the other kaiju are not nearly as destructive as Shin is. Shin, out of all the other kaiju that we've seen, is the only worthy adversary directly to Godzilla. He is the only other creature that can actually put up a good fight against Godzilla and directly threaten him when it comes to power. Also, he's very aggressive if he feels threatened. We only saw him destroying Japan in the movie, but how do you think Shin would react if he saw other kaiju his size walking around in his immediate area? This creature doesn't strike me as a territorial creature, but he's also very volatile. One thing's for sure after having watched Shin Godzilla is that this thing does not give a damn about the land. He just has a one-track mind, and his only thing is he wants to get her done, whatever that means. He doesn't care about replenishing nature, and maybe half the other kaiju don't as well. I mean, the Mutos were more so operating out of their instinct, and we can say that the kaiju operating out of their instinct usually, as a consequence, causes the land around them to flourish. So it's hard to imagine why Shin Godzilla would not be in that equation. And as I said, the simple answer for that is that he's too much of a threat to the other kaiju. I mean, when you think about it, Godzilla is too, but there can only be one. I honestly could see Shin Godzilla starting to attack all the other poor monsters, and then Godzilla trying to come in and stop the massacre. And there would be an all-out fight, there would just be a bloodbath, there would be chaos and destruction, and they'd be right back to point A from whence they started. Not even Ghidorah was killing all the other kaiju. So if Shin started acting in a defensive manner and started killing all the kaiju because he thought they were a threat or they were just too large and he was scared or whatever, started to prey on them, it's possible that Godzilla would feel the overwhelming need to put him in his place, because if anything's going to eat those things, it's going to be Godzilla, and it's going to be for good reason too. So that's the answer. If Shin was in the Monsterverse, or at least after the events of King of the Monsters, Godzilla would most likely put him down. I don't see Godzilla seeing this thing and saying, "Yo, what up, bro?" I can imagine Godzilla would see this thing the way that we would see a deformed human being or something like a zombie or a demon. It's definitely not natural, especially when you consider how this thing was made. It was made as a result of human pollution. It has a completely different origin story than that of Godzilla, who is a creature that existed way before humans were even in the mix. Let us know what you guys think about this theory, and thanks so much for watching. This has been Alteori. You ask, we answer.